There are three types of people in this world, and I wonder which one of these you are. The first set are those who wonder what happened. These are the people who are completely oblivious to what's happening to them or around them and are always subjected to happenstance. The next group of people are those who defy what happens. In other words, change happens so quickly around them that they fail to accept the present reality or vilify even any positive change. And then there are those who make things happen. These are the action takers, the initiators of change. Which category do you fall into? And I hope it's the latter, because unless you begin to initiate change, both personally and externally, you're going to get left behind in 2025. Change is not always easy, but what if I told you that in the next 6 months, you could transform every area of your life and become unrecognizable? Let's find out how you can do this in this video. As someone who has struggled with major depression, ADHD, and battled with cycles of identity crisis over and over again, making it out on the other side seemed next to impossible for me. I remember asking myself, will things ever change for me? Will I come off to anything, or will I remain stuck in this repetitive cycle of self-sabotage and nothingness forever? It wasn't until I applied these principles that I'm going to be sharing in this video that my life began to change for the better. So change is inevitable, but growth is intentional. This quote by John Maxwell perfectly captures, in essence, the reality of my life for the past few years. But the difference between those who thrive and those who struggle is how they respond to change. So let's talk about these three types of responses to change and how you can thrive in 2025. Dr. Miles Monroe identifies these three types of people when it comes to change. The first type is called the resistors. These are the people who fear change and cling to a version of the past to which they are most familiar. They see change as a threat and often vilify progress because it looks so much different from the lifestyle or the pattern of living that they are used to. A well-known example of this was the photography tycoon by the name of Kodak. If you've never heard of them, then, well, this further proves my point. Once the most dominant company in photography, Kodak refused to embrace the shift to digital photography, even though they invented the first digital camera in 1975. Instead of adapting to the rapidly changing market, Kodak doubled down on its film-based business because they failed to see the change in the time and the season. By the time they were actually ready to pivot, companies like Sony and Canon had taken over the digital photography market, leaving Kodak bankrupt in 2012. So Kodak's resistance to change was rooted in its fear of breaking down its already existing film business. But by clinging to the past, it actually lost its relevance in the future. So reflect on areas of your own life and ask yourself, am I staying stuck where I am right now because it's familiar territory? Or am I resisting adapting new habits, skills, or the right mindsets, even when everything around me is changing? Change requires courage, but resisting it can lead to missed opportunities or failure. The next type of people are who Dr. Miles Monroe calls followers. These are the people who just go with the flow, right? They allow change to happen to them, whether that's good or bad, but they don't actively drive change. Followers simply take whatever comes their way, even if it doesn't benefit them. These are the passive people. It goes back to the quote by John Maxwell at the beginning of this video, where he says, change is inevitable, but growth is intentional. Whilst you're all subjected to change, in order for you to grow into the person that you can admire and respect, you're going to have to be intentional about living. So challenge yourself to move beyond being passive and nonchalant about your life. Start asking yourself, how can I make the most out of whatever opportunities or unfair advantages that are right in front of me? No. The final group of people, which are the type of people I hope that you will become, are called leaders. Leaders anticipate change and proactively prepare for it. I'm not talking about leading other people. You have to lead yourself first. Can you say that you're going to do something and you actually do it? Can you see a problem that needs to be solved and you initiate change rather than waiting for others to fix it? While I was going through months of depression and literally wondering whether or not I was going to go crazy or remain in this dark place forever, I came to the realization that until I find a way out of this place, God only knows how long I'm going to have to be here or go through this. I had to decide to initiate that change. So depression is a mind disease, and until your belief systems or the pattern of thinking that got you there changes, I'm afraid it's something that can really take over your life. So starting today, Begin thinking about the changes that you want to make in your life permanently. What habits, skills, or relationships can you cultivate in order to lead your life forward? If you don't like where you are, begin to change your input. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind by feeding your mind with positivity and truth. Listen to empowering podcasts, sermons, read your Bible, whatever it takes to change your pattern of thinking, you have to do it. But how do you effectively create lasting change for your life? Dr. Monroe teaches that change starts from within before it happens externally. Here's how to apply change in the most critical areas of your life. Firstly, let's look at your mindset. Nothing changes until your mind changes. So, if you want to change your life, you've got to develop your mind. As it says in the book of Proverbs, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your mind is the driving force behind your success. So, when I was going through that depressing period of my life, how I managed to shift from a negative and pessimistic mindset when everything around me was crumbling was by doing something very simple that you might not think would work. I started with gratitude and prayer. Research from Dr. Robert Emmons shows that gratitude rewires the brain for positivity and resilience. So you begin to see opportunities and blessings rather than obstacles and challenges. So reframe your outlook and perspective by choosing to see what matters rather than the negative things happening to you or around you. The next step is to form consistent daily habits. Small, consistent changes, according to James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, compound over time, and I've actually found this to be true. So, in order to effect permanent change in my own life, I started making my bed at a set time every morning or sitting outside for half an hour to enjoy the sun and admire nature. I planned and scheduled my days the day before and ensured I got some work done, even though I was having a tough time mentally. Better a little a day than absolutely nothing at all. So, this will help you to build momentum and create lasting and stable habits. And lastly, but definitely not the least, building meaningful relationships. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, as they say. But thank God for my friends and brothers while I was going through this tough process. Being able to talk to them consistently, reach out to others for prayer, or talking about my vision and goals, this kept me inspired and encouraged along the way. So surround yourself with people who challenge and inspire you, but also those who support you and love you genuinely. You cannot go through this life on your own, and I cannot stress that enough. So if you're going to change your life in the next 6 months, don't be like those who watch things happen or those who things happen to. Initiate the change that you want to see. Begin to assess your life and devise a plan of action. I believe in you and your ability to do better and be better. Let me know in the comments below what areas of your life you are definitely going to be changing in the next 6 months. Don't forget to subscribe and see you guys in the next video.